My name's Nick. Nice to meet you.
And I'm Richard Woods.
Richard, we're sitting on one of your catamarans. Do you want to tell me a little bit about it, what it's called, and how we came to be sitting on it today?
Well, this is a Transit 38, so a 38-foot cruising catamaran with performance and a lot of space. So it's ideal for a liveaboard for people who actually go sailing. It's much more of a sailing boat than most of the cruising catamarans around. And it was built originally for two people who had several of my boats going back to the early 80s. So very experienced multi-hull sailors, and they wanted a bigger, faster boat than they'd had before.
Awesome. And yeah, you're right about the space. Like, I just walked from each corner. You could actually probably spend a day on this boat and not see anybody else.
We had the smaller version, the 35-foot, and I remember a family said they had 7 kids on board and they were playing hide and seek, which on the 35-foot monohull, I don't think you would manage to do. And we had a 34-footer, and we were in the Bahamas, and we had some customers who said, oh, well, we'd like to sail one because we're building one. And we said, okay, fine, you come over to the Bahamas and we'll sail back to Florida with you. They had one hull and we had the other, and we'd never met them before. And yeah, it was good. We used to meet in the saloon in the evenings for a meal, and the rest of the time they had their cabin and we had ours. And again, you can't really do that with a monohull.
So you seem to be a sailor yourself. Is that what motivated you to build a cruiser sailor?
Oh, well, I always consider myself a sailor first and a designer second. And when I became a designer, which was back in the mid-70s, I've been designing catamarans for a very long time. I did so because I could never find a boat that I would wanted to sail myself. So I thought, well, I'll have to design one, and I'm not going to design one as an amateur. I'm going to do it properly and go to college. So I went to college in Southampton for 3 years, studied yacht design, and I worked with 2 different multi-hull designers, and then started myself in 1981 doing my own design. Well, I've got over 100 sets of different designs.
And what is it about this particular boat that we're sitting on now that you like? And what are some key features that you might want to bring people's attention to?
I think probably the space that it's got on 38 feet and the fact that you can stand everywhere. When we sailed one, for several months down the east coast of the States, from Chesapeake down to the Bahamas, and we stayed in the Bahamas for some time. And my wife's son was sailing with us, and he's 6'3", 250 pounds, and he could stand everywhere, even at the front of the shower compartments and places where normally you can't. Yeah, it's tiny compared to this. It's the feeling of space that you get with the extra headroom, and it just makes it nice. And then you've got we've already said about the privacy, but for example, a lot of boats are designed for day sailing and chartering, which is basically day sailing. And this is much more of a boat that you would use for living on board and sailing longer distances. So for example, on a lot of the boats, they have a nice curved saloon that looks very good in a boat show, but you want to be able to lie down at sea on a flat and still be access to the cockpit. So
You'll move your legs
yeah,
in, yeah.
yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
But that was one of the first things I said actually when I came in here. I laid and put my feet up there and I went, this is a really good sea berth. This is really good for...
That seat there is long enough to sleep on for the skipper, and yet he can get out the door in an emergency very quickly. And that's what I've always done. So when I crossed the Atlantic in my own boat, I used to sleep in the saloon the whole time because I was the skipper and wanted to keep an eye on things. And the other thing that a lot of boats, they don't have anywhere to lie back, put your feet up and read a book. And I did the Cape to Rio race years ago in a 43-foot catamaran with 6 people, and there were 2 comfortable places to sit, one inside and one outside. So most of the time you were really uncomfortable, and yet it looked good, looked nice and fast, and it looked really good inside, but it was very impractical. Yeah, there's no point in having a boat that isn't fun to sail and doesn't sail well. There's lots of boats, and I always say this in Facebook posts, that you don't buy a boat because of the interior. That's a floating cottage, and you don't want a floating cottage, you want a sailing boat. You want to start off with a small boat, learn how to sail, then you'll know that the difference between 45 and 50 feet is huge, and between 40 and 50 feet is huge. So I always say this is an ideal size for a family.
All right, I think we're done.